Today is the final day of Jimmy Carter's state funeral, but most residents would likely believe that it's the last day of mourning for the Georgia football team. Meanwhile, Kirby Smart is still complaining about a legal substitution instead of mourning his own father. I think he's just a little angry that God couldn't do more for his dad after slipping and falling in New Orleans. I mean, what can you do? He was a klutz. He wasn't even trying to dodge that truck. All of that after God's team whooped Georgia's ass? You would be bitter too if you were Kirby. Maybe Joy Taylor can cheer him up when she inevitably joins ESPN after leaving FS1 in the wake of her workplace relationship scandal. ESPN now needs someone else's dick to suck besides the SEC, so Joy Taylor should fit right in and be an irreplaceable asset. Sex sells and the SEC doesn't anymore, so ESPN might be changing their name to the Entertainment Sports Porn Network. Half of the bowl games this year were on ESPN networks. Soon we're going to have the Trojan Bowl, the Four Hymns Bowl, and the Blue Chew Bowl hosted by UNC every year until Bill leaves. Belichick has a 400-page Bible on football, and Aaron Rodgers has a 500-page Bible on why not to get vaccinated. Who sounds crazy and who sounds autistic? You tell me. Jerod Mayo lost the number 1 overall pick for the Patriots in the draft, and he was subsequently fired 1 hour later with a statement that was clearly written weeks in advance. I'm just glad it didn't take Kraft as long to get rid of Mayo as it did Canada to get rid of Trudeau. This is Hoagies and Pierogis. We're not messing around in 2025.
Live from Central Pennsylvania with your host Ian DiCarlo, this is Hoagies and Pierogis.
The ski stash! The ski stash!
Welcome to the Big Ten.
Beezer's going to drink me, let's go!
What is up, everybody? This is Ian DiCarlo, your host for Hoagies and Pierogis. This is episode number 135. Here we are, right on the brink of the semifinals and the wild card weekend for the NFL. We don't really have too much MLB news other than the Pirates are interested in Alex Verdugo. He's fat. We do not need to bring in another fat baseball player that will inevitably hit below 200 for the first month and then be praised by the fan base when he performs like an actual major league hitter after batting 280 for 3 weeks. But then right before I hit record, Justin Verlander is signing a 1-year deal with San Francisco. He will be a giant for 1 year. He's going to be turning 42 next month. That's kind of insane. But what a coincidence that we talked about Kate Upton last week and now Justin Verlander signs with the Giants this week. Bowl game time, since we have no playoff games to go over. We're just going to do some quick hit thoughts on these bowl games since the first semifinal game is tonight between PSU and Notre Dame. Go PSU. We may as well start with one of the first bowl games, or at least one that I want to talk about a little bit. The Scooters Coffee Frisco Bowl. How desperate can you get? It was at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday. I can't remember if I mentioned it, but this was the bowl game where WVU lost to Memphis 42-37 after hiring Rich Rodriguez. What a start to his tenure. And then I'm just going to do these in chronological order. The Fresno State Bulldogs. Are you kidding me? And they didn't fix it the entire game? The Bulldogs. All right, then Pitt lost to Toledo 48-46 in 6 overtimes, which is an overtime record in a bowl game that was set just days earlier in the South Florida San Jose State game that went to 5 overtimes. Pitt started the season 7-0 and have now finished the season 7-6. That's so bad. I don't know if I've ever seen a college team lose 6 straight games in a row like that, especially not after an undefeated start. That's just absurd. What did I say? Kyle McCord, 5 touchdowns or 5 interceptions, and this time 5 touchdowns. No in between as they beat Washington State 52-35. Vanderbilt beat Georgia Tech in the Birmingham Bowl, which makes me believe that they could actually beat Georgia. Miami of Ohio crushed Colorado State in the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. They have a Snoop Dogg Bowl? Are you kidding me?
College football fans are exhausted by the constant talk around NIL, conference realignment, coach movement, transfer portal, and super conferences. So it's time that we get back to the roots of college football, when it was focused on the colleges, the players, the competition, the community, the fan experience, and the pageantry. Being a fan, coach, supporter of all levels of the game, I sent many players through my SYFL to colleges and the NFL. So it's only fitting that I step up and help get this thing right. I'm ready to bring the juice back to college football. And I'm taking my talents That's right. To Arizona. Believe me, Arizona, baby. I'm here to announce the new collaboration, the Snoop Dogg Arizona Bowl. Presented by Gin and Juice by Dre and Snoop. The game will be played on December 28th at the University of Arizona Stadium in Tucson, Arizona. I'll be there. Will you be there? Well, guess what? We'll see you there.
Snoop Dogg was leading the band at halftime, and then he was also in the booth with none other than Tom Brenneman. Colorado's the weed capital of the world. So shizzle. The pesky pole was in the camera view at the Fenway Bowl, which was obviously at Fenway Park. Older fans thought it was the new permanent first down marker. Hopefully Belichick's pesky pole doesn't get in the way of UNC like it did in this bowl game. UNC lost. The big bowl game that everybody was waiting for. This one was on everybody's list to watch. The Pop-Tart Bowl. Oh my God. Oh, what a game. They brought out the zombie Pop-Tart that got toasted last year. What the fuck is this? I thought last year it was a little bit morbid. This year, they're taking it to a new level. A zombie Pop-Tart? This is getting weird. And oh my God, Miami's defense is dog shit. What everyone is talking about is why the hell was Cam Ward on the sidelines on what could have been the game-winning drive for Miami? You opted just to start in the first half so you can get your own personal records? Come on. Your team needed you. I have never, ever, and a lot of people like in the media have never seen a player sit out the second half of a bowl game. Or, you know, players usually opt out for the bowl games entirely. He just opted out for the second half. You have to be kidding me. He was in pads on the sideline watching his team lose to Iowa State.
Congratulations to the Iowa State Cyclones on winning the Pop-Tart Bowl.
I think Cam Ward is going to be a bust 100%. You do not quit on your team like that. That is crazy to opt out of the second half. You are there. You are in pads. Play. I love the Pop-Tart Bowl, though. Next up was BYU versus the Colorado Sanders in the Alamo Bowl. And it was a blowout, but not in the way that you would think. BYU crushed Colorado. That was crazy. But from the way that the announcers were talking, you would have thought that Colorado blew out BYU because they would not shut the fuck up about Deion Sanders, Shedeur Sanders, and Travis Hunter. Oh my God, they got a lot of flack for that after the game, and rightfully so. BYU was up 27-0 at one point before a Travis Hunter touchdown. All right, the New Year's Eve non-playoff games. First game up of the day. I was not paying attention to it. I was about to leave for Pittsburgh. Bama was losing to Michigan 16-0 in the first quarter. You love to see it. Kalen DeBoer has the funniest faces when Alabama's losing. Like, what am I seeing? What is that? And they did end up losing, which is just fucking hilarious. Apparently, they had like 12 opt-outs, and Jalen Milroe wasn't one of them. So I think this plummeted his draft stock a little bit. I mean, it was already kind of in the shitter. Now he just did way, way worse and had a terrible showing. He did opt into the Senior Bowl, though, so he has a chance to recover a little bit more. Okay, Illinois beat South Carolina in a pretty big upset in the Cheez-It Bowl. So, like, absolutely none of the teams that were complaining about not making the playoffs did anything in their bowl games. BYU and Ole Miss maybe had the best cases after their games. But that was just awful. Ole Miss did smack the shit out of Duke, let's be honest. Another big bowl game that everyone was waiting for that was really nice last year. The Mayo Bowl mascot was a surprise celebrity the whole game and was not revealed until Minnesota won the game. PJ Fleck lost his goddamn mind when it was Flava Flav. He's probably right in that age group where he's like, where it would shock you, be like, oh my God, I grew up watching you. I'm a little bit too much outside the Flava Flav realm. Flava of Love was still on MTV when I was growing up, but that was one that I never tuned into. PJ Fleck got the mayo bath from Flava Flav.
Coach, you know what? Before I ask you a question, can I get some of that? Oh, come on!
And so, yeah, that was basically the quick little stuff that I wanted to go over for those bowl games. They were so fun. The matchups were good. The matchups were intriguing. Obviously, Alabama losing to Michigan was a big highlight of this, and basically all of the teams that were complaining about not making the playoffs, losing was great. But these were just so fun. The Pop-Tart Bowl, people getting married at the Cheez-It Bowl, the Mayo Bowl, you have to love it. All of these brands that take advantage of not even pushing their product, but making a spectacle with their product is great. All right, last little bit here. They demolished the Penn State press box to start reconstruction. That was on the same side that I sat on. So I actually got one of the last pictures of the press box. They're adding more suites and luxury boxes, which will decrease the total capacity, but it's not going to be under 100,000. And I swear to God, Notre Dame fans think that they were the reason that part of the stadium was demolished. I posted my predictions on TikTok again this week, and oh my God, Notre Dame is full of shit after they beat Georgia. Oh, they are losing their minds in these comments. I said that Notre Dame has maybe a little bit less dynamic of a pass rush than Boise State, and Notre Dame fans are losing their minds. Boise State was second in sacks per game this year. Notre Dame was 30th. Boise State was third in sack percentage. Notre Dame was 23rd. I do not want to hear it. Do your research before you comment. Our last bowl game, technically, we'll go over the Pro Bowl here. There were some very, very serious snubs. Christian Gonzalez did not make it in over Denzel Ward. Are you kidding me? On the Cleveland Browns team that also went 4-13, and you put Denzel Ward in ahead of Christian Gonzalez. Averaged like 18 yards a game to opposing receivers when he was the primary defender. 18. Yes, not 80, 18. Baker Mayfield was snubbed. Bijan Robinson was snubbed. There are at least two receivers on the AFC side that Brian Thomas Jr. should have made it in over. All right, Week 18, final week of the regular season. Browns, Ravens, Saturday afternoon. It is so funny that the Browns switched from Zappy to Dorian Thompson-Robinson after the pick six on the first play of the game. After Dorian Thompson-Robinson decided to just tuck the ball and run with it, they went right back to Zappy. What a mess in Cleveland. That showing from them got their offensive coordinator, Ken Dorsey, fired. Ken Dorsey was the offensive coordinator for the Bills last year, wasn't he? So I think he sucks. To close out the game, we had the biggest man interception that I have ever seen. All 355 pounds enveloped that ball. It is insane that he dropped off the line into coverage to begin with. And then he almost tore both ACLs on his way down. That was so funny. Derrick Henry is the only player in NFL history with 1,500 rushing yards and 15 touchdowns in 3 different seasons. He is the king for a reason. You know what? Lamar's not far behind him. He finishes with 4,172 passing yards, 41 passing touchdowns, 4 interceptions, 41-4. That's crazy. 915 rushing yards and 4 rushing touchdowns. Last year when he won MVP, he had 3,678 yards, 24 pass TDs, 7 interceptions, 821 rush yards, and 5 touchdowns. How is this not being talked about more? He is blowing his own stats out of the water, and Josh Allen somehow is being favored right now. Lamar is still ahead in every single category. I think even completion percentage, even after that 50% showing against the Browns, except for rushing touchdowns. How is Lamar not favored? I do not get it. All right, Bengals-Steelers game. Dude, the Steelers stink. They are doo-doo. Burrow got driven really hard into the ground in this one. Luckily, he walked off fine. I would be more worried about his neck than a concussion, though. Face mask got stuck in the grass, and it got driven down. Someone fell right on top of his back, and his neck got pushed in. Ugh, that looked like it hurt really bad. But, I mean, the Steelers kept holding the Bengals to field goals, so that was at least positive on their part. And they were down 19-14 still, with 6 minutes left, and they couldn't do anything with it. After the punt, again, somehow the Steelers are always gifted these muffed punts. It's muffed by the Bengals. They get it. They actually have another chance to go down the field and go ahead, but they only get a field goal. They need to really stop trying to revitalize Cordarrelle Patterson's career. It's not going to happen. On that drive, they only came away with that field goal, like I said, after a holding call that pushed them out of field goal range, but then they gained enough yardage back for a 54-yard attempt for Chris Boswell, and he made it, luckily for them, 19-17. With 2 minutes and 39 seconds left. And after the Bengals had a great kick return, they went 3 and out. And the Steelers had the ball back with 1:51 seconds left. Bengals had the ball for just over 40 seconds. At this point, going into the last drive, though, the Bengals had 315 total yards, and the Steelers had 177. The writing should have been on the wall right there. I don't know what the hell they were doing on that last drive. Russell Wilson, you had 2 open receivers at 2 separate times, and you decided to tuck the ball and run, and you got tackled inbounds, and you only had 20 seconds left after that. They had to use their last time out, and then on the very next play, Russell Wilson was sacked. They couldn't stop the clock. The game was over. The Steelers are going to lose in the first round of the Ravens. That is a horrible draw for them. Or honestly, maybe it might be the best one. The Steelers are completely incapable of consistently moving the ball down the field, especially when they get into the red zone. But this also seems like a classic Arthur Smith masterclass in how to find every opportunity to be the worst offensive coordinator when it matters. Keep that in mind. I'm shocked they didn't try to go to Fields more in this game just to create some sort of spark. Russell Wilson was doing nothing. At this point, the Bengals still needed the Broncos and the Dolphins to lose to make the playoffs, though. Spoiler alert, they didn't make it because the Broncos shut out the Chiefs. Shut out the Chiefs' backups, I should say. And the Bengals fired their defensive coordinator for having too complicated of a system. Maybe they should simplify it to help Joe Burrow in any kind of way. But their next move is interviewing DeMarcus Covington. Are you kidding me? From the Patriots, their defensive coordinator, the one that made the Patriots defense regress like way more than it should have. Please take him. I heard Anarumo, Lou Anarumo is a good defensive coordinator, and the Patriots actually might be interested in him at that position. Sunday, the Panthers beat the Falcons in overtime. The Falcons needed to win, and the Falcons needed the Bucs to lose. But the Falcons were blowing this. Why are they so dysfunctional as a team? I don't get it. They tried so hard and pushed this game to overtime just for the Bucs to win right as they were going into overtime. And they just lost anyway. This Falcons team is so bad. Speaking of the Bucs, they did beat the Saints 27-19. It was looking pretty bad early on, though. Mike Evans only needed 85 yards coming into the game to keep his 1,000-yard streak alive, and he had 0 in the first quarter. I was freaking out. And I was following the game on ESPN or online, so I wasn't actually watching the game. And the game ended on the last play, and it didn't update any of the stats. I thought they just kneeled it out with 30 seconds left. And I was like, no, Mike Evans fell 5 yards short of his goal. But on the last play, he got his 7 yards, got over 1,000 for the season, and they basically just let him get that. And he made it 11 straight seasons of 1,000 yards. tying Jerry Rice for the most ever. First ballot Hall of Famer. The Buccaneers clinched their 4th straight NFC South title. Cowboys Commanders, Trey Lance got the start in this one after Cooper Rush needed an incentive to get $500,000. Trey Lance's throws look so awkward. He has a horrible arm action. He will never be good. It's so slow. It is slower than Kirk Cousins was earlier in the year. Daniels was pulled at halftime, but Mariota was able to keep them afloat with a last-second scary Terry touchdown grab. Commanders win 23-19. All right, Giants-Eagles. Eagles were resting everyone and still winning pretty easily. And actually, for a little bit, Neighbors passed Brock Bowers for the most receptions by a rookie with 109. And that's damn impressive considering he missed 2 games. That's insane. He might have 120 if he didn't miss those 2 games. Probably 125, 130, pushing it. And unfortunately, Jalen Hurts is still in the concussion protocol as of Monday. I'm recording this on Tuesday, so I didn't check on that. But it's still in the concussion protocol as of yesterday is very worrying for them. Bears at Packers. Bears walked off the Packers, meaning the Packers are the number 7 seed and will play the Eagles in Philly. We'll see if they're playing against Hurts or Kenny Pickett or Tanner McKee. But the Packers were dealt a huge blow as Christian Watson tore his ACL and has a little bit of other structural damage. That really sucks, so they're probably going to be missing him for all of next year as well. So the Bears are going to start interviews, and they actually put an interview in for Arthur Smith. They deserve every single loss coming their way if they go that route. Our Jaguars beat the Colts 26-23. Doug Peterson is out as the head coach. They have a pretty good list of head coach candidates, Ben Johnson being one of them. He's going to be pretty picky about where he's going to interview. Right now, he has a pretty short list of the Bears, the Jags, and the Patriots. Yes, that's right. We're getting there. Texans beat the Titans 23-14. Titans were looking like ass and secured the number 1 pick after the Patriots won. If the Titans really want to go with Levis next year, they're going to get a Hall to move down, but I have a feeling they might go Sanders. But they also just fired their general manager, so I don't know what the hell is going on in Tennessee. Bills, Patriots. Who would have thought that the Patriots would win 23-16? This game and leading up to it did nothing but infuriate me. Hey, Jelani Tavai, go fuck yourself.
Can you see as a player, and I've played before when fans are booing and they're calling for coaches' jobs, can you see, I get why fans are doing that when we put a product out that doesn't look that good rather than being going kind of what Dedrick Wise said and going, all right, these, fans tend to be a little bit spoiled. But do you see the side that the fans are coming from when the product looks bad?
I don't know. There's a reason why they're fans. Everybody can say what they think that we should be doing, but in the long end, they're not qualified to do what Mayo is doing, or whatever the Krafts are doing. The fans, and I appreciate them at times, but sometimes they just gotta know their place and just understand that it's a work in progress. Rome wasn't built in one day.
The fans should know their place. We do. Our job is to cheer when things are going well and to boo when things are in complete disarray and to tell players when they're being complete morons. I apologize to anyone whose feelings were hurt, but I'm going to defend my own. No, go fuck yourself. The fan base as a whole knows better than you, and we want Mayo gone. Well, the boos weren't directed at you until now. This would have never happened under Belichick, and if it did, Tavai would already be gone. Mayo's response to his comments were actually pretty decent, but I thought that at that time, I think he might have known that his time was short.
Do you have any reaction to the comments that Jelani Tavai made on the league at this point?
I've handled that internally. We had a conversation about it, so we'll keep that. I will say this. Look, for the fans, I've said this before. I'm a fan of different things too. Look, no one's happy. No one's happy with our record. No one's happy where we are right now. And the fans, look, they pay the bills. And they come in here. They demand us, to go out there and perform well. And we haven't done that this year. So look, I understand.
After comments that were made by Devon Godshaw and Dedrick Wise earlier in the week, did you address the players about how they should speak about fans?
No, I've talked to the guys about how, look, they're getting caught up in trying to defend me. And look, I told them, look, I appreciate it, but at the same time, the fans are, the most important thing here.
Jeremy Springer, the goddamn special teams coordinator, out of anyone, had the best answer to the question.
You, as a positive guy, and that's very clear. Is it tough for you last Saturday to be on the field and to hear the fans in the stands booing and chanting the things they chanted?
I mean, I always say this, like, you don't want to get shot at, don't join the Army. Like, I know this profession, like, I know what it brings, and you guys have had so much success here. I mean, I grew up a Dallas Cowboys fan, right? So, like, as a kid, when we were going to the playoffs, and when I was a little kid, we were going to Super Bowls, I was pissed at the team, too, when we were losing, right? So, like, I'm all about the team and the fans, too. Like, there's people in those stands, and I know because I was a kid once, and my parents couldn't even afford to go to football games. Like, they're expensive tickets, and to bring your whole family to a game, oh, that's $1,000 probably you're spending in one day. And then to lose like we did, I mean, they're upset, man. They're frustrated, and they should be, right? We need to put a better product on the field, and that's what our job is. So anytime I hear that, I'm like, okay, what can I do better? What can I do better so that they're not doing that next time? Like, what can I do better to be a better coordinator, to be a better coach, to make our players play harder and play better, so that we don't hear that? Because I mean, they have every right to do that, in my opinion. It's a sport, man. It's an organization. It's professional sports. This isn't. If you don't want to do that, go coach go coach in Alaska for 6-man football, right? I'm serious. Like, then you won't hear that because that's all your family's in the stands. But this is different. This is professional football. So this is the way it goes into society, and I'm totally fine with that.
Allen came in for one snap to keep his start streak alive of 105 games. I know that it's over half as many more as Jared Goff, who I think has 51. That is worth it to come in for one snap and then just let Mitch Trubisky handle the rest of it. But yeah, they pulled Drake May after one series, and Joe Milton came in the game. That is not the tank commander. This should have been Jacoby Brissett's spot. We got Bazooka Joe out here throwing dimes and doing backflips. What the fuck? 10 for 10, 122 yards, 1 touchdown, 1 rushing touchdown. Fuck me. Of course Milton came in and demolished the Bills' second and third stringers. Should not have expected anything less after he did the same exact thing in preseason to every team that he faced. They cannot even lose right. You've got to be kidding me. This was making me sick to my stomach. No one's going to want to trade back for number 4. One less choice between Travis Hunter and Abdul Carter now, or possibly neither. Do they pivot to Mason Graham? Maybe Tet? I don't know. It was just so dumb. Probably can't get Warren now at the top of the second round either. Someone used that picture of Paul Skeens reacting to his NL Rookie of the Year to describe Patriots fans' feelings, and there could not have been a more accurate representation of how we all feel. And the more I was thinking about it on Sunday, the more it infuriated me. I typed down here, fire Mayo and Covington, get rid of Wolf, hire a person that has experience, and stay the fuck out of daily operations, Robert Kraft. This is definitely worse than last year, and I did not think that it could get any worse. Yeah, we were expecting to be bad. People, listen, we were not expecting to be good, but Mayo resembles nothing of a head coach at all. From a player's perspective, I get that you're trying to win. I really do. But to have this arrogance towards the fan base like winning doesn't actively hurt the future of the team is insane. Acknowledge it and move on. Don't brag in our faces that you won the game. It should not feel like the players are taunting us, like we're the opposing fan base, to our own social media team.
W feels so good.
Thank you, fans. Thank you.
I love y'all.
Oh, and also, I don't want to hear that the best thing about the locker room is players talking about their faith and family and how they carry themselves off the field. I want ball players that want to talk about football and how to get better and how to win. Not God. We need killers. Not literally, but if that's what it takes, then why not? The Patriots have done it before. I was seething. And then about 1 hour after the game...
Emergency update. Patriots fire Jerod Mayo right away. Let's go. Woo!
It was announced in a statement that was 100% written over the course of several weeks. You could tell that this was not the first draft of the letter that Kraft sent out to the media. Mayo was finally fired. This should have happened weeks ago. Oh my God. I mean, he completely fucked up the future of the team by winning. At no point in the season did Mayo act like a head coach. Not even in that Bengals win. He was a body on the sideline with a headset. I have never heard Mayo talk about football in any capacity that would indicate to me that he knows what he's doing. I never saw Mayo talk to any position groups or converse with the refs or in any fashion, friendly or angry. None of it. He was always just standing there watching the game. I never even saw a player come up to him after a play and obviously ask him a question. You saw plenty of players come up to Belichick after the play and be like, hey, what did I do wrong after that? Nobody came up to Mayo and did the same thing because he wouldn't have an answer. He wouldn't know what the fuck he's talking about. I know Vrabel is heavily interested, but interview Aaron Glenn, Cliff Kingsbury, literally anybody with head coach / coordinator experience and let them bring in their guys. The interview request has already been submitted for Ben Johnston. Thank God, and we are on his short list, like I said earlier. Byron Leftwich and Pat Hamilton have already been interviewed. So there's the Rooney rule. We might get a head coach hiring by the end of the week. Don't get me wrong, Vrabel would be great. I would have no issue with Mike Vrabel at all. But I prefer someone who has never worked or played for the Patriots in any capacity, and that's Ben Johnson. And he's being very picky, so it could come down to Caleb Williams or Drake May, whichever one he believes in more. And if it is Drake May, then I will feel very justified. This Mike Giardi article is shocking from the little part that I got to read here that isn't behind a paywall. One vet told him, I lost faith we were headed in the right direction. And then when asked when, he said, in the spring. When asked why, he said it felt like they, or Mayo and the coaching staff, were making it up as they went along. It was amazing how one day it would be this and then the next something completely different. They knew that he wasn't the guy in the spring? Are you kidding me? We didn't hear any reports on this. Another player added here, it became more about looking myself in the mirror and the guys in my room in huddle and saying, I'm leaving it out here for you because I never believed we had an edge in coaching. The players are saying this to people outside of the organization? What? That's so embarrassing. That is so embarrassing. Oh my God. Ugh. And some of the players, all of the players that were shocked and sad to see Mayo go, were the ones that got to fuck off and do nothing because Mayo did nothing to control them. That must have been a pretty nice change from Belichick, but it's time to get your heads out of your asses and start playing like a competent football team. I hope the next guy is a hard ass, and I know Vrabel is a little bit, so like I said, would not mind him.
So I'm editing the podcast right now, and I just read another report about Jerod Mayo that said instead of sitting at the front of the plane with assistants and watching film after the Cardinals game coming out of the bye, he instead went back with the players and decided to play cards with them, electing to hang out instead of actually do his damn job. What the fuck? That report was from Chad Graff, by the way, a very respected journalist.
Patriots, I was very mad, and I had zero hope for next year. But with the most cap space in the league, like $150 million in cap space, reportedly, the number 4 pick overall, and a hopefully new voice in the organization completely. I hope it's Ben Johnson and not Vrabel, but I wouldn't mind Vrabel. This gives me a little tiny glimmer. A tiny glimmer that something can go right. Please. All right, let's move on to another team that people are a little bit shocked that they fired their head coach. The Chargers and the Raiders game. The Raiders fired Antonio Pierce after this. I really did not think that they would do it. I know that they love him there. I think they want to start fresh. Bowers did get back the rookie reception record for good in this one, surpassing Neighbors with 110 catches. He just beats him by 1. I think that's all that they needed him out there for. Chargers beat the Raiders, though, 34-20. All right, Dolphins-Jets game. Let's see. Tua was not starting, so it was Snoop again this week. Second time talking about Snoop in this podcast. That's weird. Rodgers got his 500th passing touchdown in what is possibly his last game ever. We'll get back to Aaron Rodgers. But the Dolphins are so bad without Tua. And even with him, I mean, they're barely good. But it seems like Tyreek Hill agrees with me. It comes out after the game that he wants to be traded. Bombshell. That came out of nowhere. Was not expecting that at all. All right, so the Jets are also looking for a head coach, and they have what is possibly the longest list of candidates I've ever seen. They're interviewing literally anyone that wants to be the head coach. Mike Vrabel, Ron Rivera, Rex Ryan, Brian Flores, Josh McCown, Joe Brady, Matt Nagy, Arthur Smith, Brian Greasy, Aaron Glenn, Vance Joseph, Bobby Slowick, Darren Rizzi, and Jeff Ulbrich are all interviewing for the job. That is 14 damn people. And you may as well add Steve Spagnuolo to the list too. So that's 15. 15. They are 100% going to overthink it if they're not already. And they aren't even wasting their time putting in a request for Ben Johnson because, like I said, he has a very short list. The Jets are that bad. The Jets did win this game 32-20, but unfortunately for the Bengals, like I said, the Broncos shut out the Chiefs 38-0 in the second shutout of the season. Wentz actually would have gotten $100,000 if they won this game, and I thought they might have tried a little bit for him. Not even close. That was horrible. And they could have actually become the second team ever with 16 wins in the first time that's happened since the Patriots in 2007. But yeah, right away, it was not a good start for the Bengals. The Chiefs secondary was playing soft as shit. Bo Nix went 26 for 29 with 368 yards and 4 touchdowns. The Chiefs were not trying at all. All right, Rams were resting everyone since they clinched the division last week, but they still played a pretty close game against the Seahawks. Seahawks won 30-25. Cardinals crushed the 49ers 47-24. I'm sure Kyler Murray would just rather be at home playing Black Ops 6. This game is really for nothing but draft position, and the Cardinals were piling it on late. All right, last regular season game of the year, and it was a doozy. Well, it was supposed to be a doozy. This was the first ever matchup between two 14-win teams in the regular season. The Lions versus the Vikings. The Lions struck first, and their defense was being ferocious. It was gross how well they were playing. And they actually were exchanging field goals left and right. The Lions were the only ones with 1 touchdown in the first half, and it was 10-6 at halftime. And the Vikings were looking good. They looked like they were going to stay in the game, and a healthy Cam Akers is actually kind of scary. I think Sam Darnold was back to seeing ghosts on this one because he had 2 wide open receivers after they turned it over on downs. They did get it back on an interception on the next drive, but they couldn't do anything with it again. Only got a field goal. 10-9. There was still only 1 touchdown through 2.5 quarters. I was really shocked that they could not consistently get in the end zone when they were always in field goal range, and they were taking the field goals, which I don't know if they should. I think they should have been a little bit more aggressive. But they could not move it against this injured Lions defense. And Terrion Arnold is out here bragging after the game like he's not the 113 out of 117th ranked cornerback, according to PFF. But he did have a good game against Justin Jefferson. It was also funny watching Anzalone go up against Hawkinson. They are twins. Jameer Gibbs showing why they drafted him in the first round with all 4 Lions touchdowns. The Lions beat the Vikings 31-9 and are pretty convincingly the number 1 for the first time in franchise history. So after that Lions game, the playoff picture was set. For the AFC, we know that the Chiefs have the first round bye, and then for the NFC, the Lions have the first round bye. But the matchups for the wild card weekend are Broncos at the Bills, Steelers at the Ravens, and then the Chargers at the Texans for the AFC. I'm obviously going to go Bills here against the Broncos. Might be a shocking upset pick, though. I might put a little bit of money on the Broncos, just put a little $5 on them. Steelers at the Ravens. I know that it's the Steelers-Ravens rivalry, and there might be 9 field goals in the game. But you cannot pick against this hot Ravens offense right now. They are going crazy, going with the Ravens. And then the Chargers are at the Texans, going with the Chargers. It's a debate between the Texans and the Steelers, which one is the worst team in the playoff field. For the NFC, Packers, Eagles, Commanders, Buccaneers, and then Vikings, Rams. All right, like I said, Christian Watson is hurt for the Packers, but if Jalen Hurts does not start for the Eagles, they're in trouble. This Packers team is nothing to mess around with. I'm still going to go Eagles, even if Tanner McKee has to start because they're just going to feed the ball to Saquon Barkley. But that's a scary thought for the Eagles right now. Commanders, Buccaneers. I just think that the Buccaneers have a little bit more experience. I don't know. The Commanders, they could pull off some miracle. Who knows? But I'm going to go Buccaneers in this one. As long as that Buccaneers team that played against the Saints in the first half doesn't show up, they'll be fine. Then we got the Vikings at the Rams. If the Vikings offense plays like they did against the Lions, I think the Rams would win. The Rams have been really, really good these last couple weeks of the season. I'm torn on this one. I think I'm going to go... Yeah, I think I'm going to go Rams here. So Bills, Ravens, Chargers in the AFC, then Eagles, Buccaneers, Rams in the NFC. It's going to be a good weekend. All right, and like I promised, I watched Enigma, the Aaron Rodgers documentary, so you do not have to. Although, you should. The opening scene is him getting one of the cheesiest dragon/Ouroboros tattoos that I've ever seen because he switched to number 8. So he has the dragon in the shape of an 8 eating its own tail. Whatever. You can immediately tell that the drugs are getting to him. His Achilles looks like chicken skin. And I hated this perk vision filter that was going on when he was narrating. And they did it a lot in episode 1. I don't think they did it like at all in episode 2. And they did it once or twice in episode 3. It was very like, oh, it made me go cross-eyed. But he was really bragging about being able to square any number. What a fucking dork. And yes, I was hate watching this. And those percentages when they were on the plane after he was like, I could square any number. He was like, well, it's a certain percentage if I do this and this and that. When I used to trip a lot, I would make up all these like scales and percentages and bullshit like this. It's all just the drugs. And then it was like switching back and forth between like when the Achilles injury happened and his football career kind of leading up to it, and then started in college. So we got to see a little bit of Marshawn Lynch. And Cal was in the Pac-12. Classic. I did really like how it was doing that switching thing between, you know, his career, between his first year with the Jets and his football career leading up to the Packers winning the Super Bowl against the Steelers over episode 1. It kept me engaged. And it was mostly football in that. So, which means it was all drugs in the next 2 episodes. So then, like I said, episode 1 kind of ended with his win against the Steelers in the Super Bowl. So episode 2 opened with, boo-hoo, I won a Super Bowl. What do I do with my life now? Win another one. Just do it. Just a typical California boy that believes he's destined for more than what life has gifted him. Sad. Oh no, there was RFK to change his life forever. But how annoying must it be to be told over and over again stories about how your uncle was murdered in broad daylight in the middle of the street, no matter what direction the story goes from there? Why do I want to hear about that part at all? Oh, you remember when JFK got shot? Yeah, I do. He was my uncle. Why does he want to hear that over and over again? It gets mentioned to him constantly. Stop talking to him about it. Maybe that's what gave him the brain worm. And like this one was him trying to find his way, and it was like there was a lot of like hate towards the church. And at first it sounded like it was about to be revealed that he was molested by his priest, but it was talking like it scarred him for life. Let it go, brother. Come on. And at this point, Mike McCarthy showed up in a Cowboys polo, and Jerry Jones 100% made him wear that for this. But then after that, it was like after he talked about the church in such a negative light, it was revealed that he was being influenced by a mega church pastor around 2011, Rob Bell. He definitely let this wacko get in his ear and act as his therapist when he needed a real one. This is like the guy that got him into drugs around 2011. This was like in 2011, so it might have been already established before then. It was so weird. They were doing some weird, super sensitive tests, like in the corner of a log cabin with huge windows. Surely there's no interference there. This was just all bullshit, what this mega church pastor was feeding him, and he was falling for it hook, line, and sinker. It was horrible. And now we find out at the time of the filming of this documentary, he's gone on 4 trips and 9 ayahuasca ceremonies. That's crazy. That's too much. That is way too much. I've never done ayahuasca or DMT, but even like I don't really want to do shrooms anymore. Just even that's just like too much for me. Like I don't even want to go there. How do you do this ceremony 9 fucking times? That's absurd. He must be crazy. I've seemingly picked a pretty good place to stop. I know what it's about, but I'm not spouting nonsense about it. It's a drug. It's not medicine. You talk gibberish on it. Record yourself tripping and watch it the next morning. See if you're even able to figure out how to start recording before it's too late. You might not even get to record yourself. This is so dumb. It does suck that his family seemingly told him to like stop getting bigger, and then they tried to like become famous separate of him. That part was kind of weird. I guess his family was in like a reality show without him, and like were vocal about not having Aaron in their lives anymore. That part was very weird. But then it was also very weird. This part, I thought that was extremely shitty to bring a camera crew to an ayahuasca ceremony. It is even more disturbing that the people who are on the retreat with him signed something to be on camera during a trip that is supposed to be like the ultimate dissolver of the ego. So much for that. The fact they all have experience as well kind of proves that they have learned nothing. And then they flashed back to 2011 to the loss against the Giants in the playoffs. And it was at this point that I realized this fucking druggie. This goddamn druggie. This is why you lost to the Giants in 2011 and why the Giants ended up beating the Patriots in that Super Bowl. Oh, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. Aaron Rodgers, I hate you. You're tripping balls while your receivers were tripping over balls that you threw to them? Are you kidding me? Because you couldn't see straight? Because you were tripping in that game? I almost had a conniption. I was already mad that the Patriots won their game. I watched this after the game. I found this out after the Patriots lost the number 1 pick. That Aaron Rodgers is one of the direct reasons why the Patriots don't have one more Super Bowl under their belt. God damn it. And then win-loss matrix. What the fuck was this druggie talking about? Well, I hate you so much. 2014 and 2016, thank you. You might have caused 2 more Patriots Super Bowls after you caused us to lose one. But the fact that I now know you were doing drugs in 2011 makes me furious. And then episode 2, I mean, really, they really heavily loaded this one with the drugs. He was about to get ready to go on a retreat, and he was like, oh man, it's like with football, I need to be perfect, but then in life, I'm not perfect, so I need to constantly be doing something, and I need to do this medicine and experience this medicine to move forward with my life. Buddy, I'm not perfect either, and it's not nagging at my soul like that. Just move on. Go to an actual therapist. On the retreat, they were literally smoking rocks. Hitting the rocks with the ayahuasca vine and then steaming them and hotboxing a tent with the steam. This is absolutely insane. And I'm pretty sure I saw Von Miller on this trip. Jordan Poyer was there, so they're both on the Bills. Von Miller was never mentioned, though, in the documentary. That's kind of weird to me. But during this trip, it was leaked. This was when it was leaked that Rodgers was on RFK's shortlist for vice president. And he's talking about the news like it was leaked. So on that hike with RFK, when he first showed up at the beginning of episode 2, RFK straight up said, I want you to be my vice president. What do you think of that? Did you ever think of getting into politics? Rodgers, you had a whole camera crew there recording it. Don't act like it just got leaked out of nowhere. What are you talking about? And then he kept saying about it. He was like, well, the medicine said about this experience to move on. No, not the medicine said. The drugs said. Come on. The football parts of this are very good, but shallow and very overshadowed by the rest of the bullshit. But honestly, you know, towards the end of this episode, if this is what it took for him to find love and acceptance outside of football, I am happy for him, I guess. But then after that, it was revealed in episode 3 that we're going to be going over the vaccine bullshit and made me remember why I hate him again. At this point, Matt LaFleur came in to replace Mike McCarthy, and all of episode 3 dealt with like the vaccine stuff and Jordan Love taking over for him and him. Brett Favre made his debut. We were wondering when he was going to show up, and I thought that was current, but that was before they drafted Jordan Love, and Brett Favre said, it still doesn't seem like they have a direction of where they're going to go in the future. And I thought that he was talking about like Jordan Love like not working out in his eyes. And I was like, wow, what a racist. But then I realized, no, that was beforehand. And Aaron Rodgers could not believe that they drafted Jordan Love in 2020. He was shocked just as much as anyone. But I think it's fair to say that ayahuasca indirectly helped Jordan Love. I think it was able to help Rodgers maybe process the move more, and it's a business. He realizes that, and he's like, well, maybe I'll take care of Jordan Love a little bit more than Brett Favre took care of me coming into the league. Because Brett Favre was, a little bit pissed that Aaron Rodgers was coming in to take his spot. So, yeah, here we go with the COVID bullshit in the 2020 season. I don't think I realized Rodgers was so good at drawing teams off sides just because of his cadence with no crowd noise. 48 touchdowns and 5 interceptions in 2020 is insane. I completely forgot about that. I forgot how good he was. But then they went over the Buccaneers playoff game where the Buccaneers beat him. And then I remembered I had a great flashback. I was like, holy shit, that was when I started my betting career. I had 2 different parlays that weekend for, I think it was $600 total. Because I had picked all 4 games, and then I took the spread for... I'm pretty sure I took the spread for all 4 games, and then took just the money lines like I did for the college football playoff. But yeah, that's what started me down this road. Then flash forward, he was talking about the origin of Achilles on a beach house somewhere to 2 women, and they did not give a fuck. You can obviously tell. But this was when the media was going crazy about his absence from minicamp, like before COVID broke out. And he was talking about it. He was like, man, like I didn't realize I was such an enigma. He said it. But yeah, he took a trip to Egypt, and he did tell the team, but Robert Saleh made a big deal out of it and was like, yeah, he did tell us, but it's still inexcused. No, it's inexcused. Like, he's not here and he's getting fined for it, but he told us, but it's inexcused. And that's what started basically the whole shitstorm of him being like, yeah, I'm immunized. And he lied about, having his shot and everything. But he was actually an anti-vaxxer from the start. His family, did not give him the flu shot. The flu shot, fine. But to base all of your beliefs off of that one shot is insane. Let's be honest. I agree with his opinion now. Then I didn't, but now I do. I'm just tired of talking about all this nonsense. This is going to get me taken off YouTube talking about vaccines. Fuck. The issue was that he lied about it because he didn't want to be quarantined from everyone else. That's what everyone seems to be missing about this. That's why he got in trouble. You could be non-vaccinated. He just lied about it. That's it. And the whole time, the music behind this was playing like it was the end of the world. But that season, he did end up winning the MVP. I mean, how could he not? Going 48 touchdowns, 5 interceptions. That's crazy. Kind of like Lamar. 41 touchdowns, 4 interceptions. But in his MVP speech, I thought he brought up a good point. On a deeper level, I resonated with this. Him saying, having good mental health is the ability to walk between the world of the introvert and the extrovert. I love being alone. I absolutely love it. But I also love being out in the world and enjoying my time with my friends and family. A good balance is key. I mean, if I'm going to take anything from this documentary, that may be it. So then time goes by, and then he's like, boo-hoo, the Packers want to trade me. Well, yeah, I know that they said they'd let you make a choice and everything, but they're going to shop you in the meantime. They're not just going to let you go for nothing. That's just a smart business move. Quit complaining. I thought you learned something from the Jordan Love drafting decision. Ayahuasca retreats for nothing. So then comes free agency, and it's darkness retreat time, baby. And they barely went over it. I mean, it was 2 seconds long, and the only thing that they said about it was that he chose to go to the Jets. In the hut, in the darkness hut. That's actually true. That's not some conjecture. He said so himself. Looking back on it now, Green Bay absolutely swindled the Jets. That trade is insane. Swapping first and then a second and a sixth in 2023 and a conditional second rounder for 2024 is highway robbery for how these past 2 years have turned out. So then obviously it goes into his first game with the Jets, him carrying the flag out. And then with 14 minutes left in the documentary, the Achilles tear happens. And that's when I realized, wait, this was absolutely supposed to be a documentary about how he went from the top with the Packers to vilified by the media to Super Bowl champion with the Jets. This is absolutely hilarious. This whole ending was blocked out to be a miraculous finish to a controversial career in 2023. The last footage they have in this documentary is from the Week 1 game against the 49ers this year. That is such a weird place to stop. One playoff run and a Super Bowl win basically equates to a whole offseason of footage and then the first little bit of game to fill time. Why else would they stop at Week 1 of 2024? And this idiot took 40 years to realize that you don't have to take quotes from a football coach as gospel. He quoted Vince Lombardi saying, "Winning isn't everything. It's the only thing," and was dead serious when he said, "Yeah, I don't subscribe to that." There are a billion channels on YouTube and I'm subscribed to 30 of them. It's okay if you don't follow every single quote word for word. He does say at the end, it could be the last year, but it could not be. Well, it was definitely his last year with the Jets because he was hugging all of his teammates goodbye at the end of that game. Go watch this for yourself. Just those 3 episodes, they're all an hour long. Goes a little bit long, but I was engaged just because it was really fun to hate watch it. This was so clearly meant to be a retirement documentary, though, if they won the Super Bowl last year. Okay, everybody. I believe that's it for this week. Let's check Twitter real quick. Okay, so the Bears actually put in a interview request for Mike McCarthy to the Cowboys, but the Cowboys denied that request. So Mike McCarthy is staying with the Cowboys for sure next year. But then the Bears also put in a request for Pete Carroll. Like I said last week, it would be crazy to me if Pete Carroll gets a job before Belichick in the NFL. Alrighty, I believe that's it, everybody. Make sure to leave a like and comment on each video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Hoagies and Pierogis is available on Spotify, Apple, or wherever you listen to podcasts. Follow us on TikTok and Instagram for clips throughout the week. And we'll leave you with this. We are
live from Central Pennsylvania with your host, Ian DiCarlo. This is Hoagies and Pierogis.
The ski stash! The ski stash!
Welcome to the Big Ten.
Patriots go drink, man. Let's go.